Clearwater's organic dairy is a vertically integrated business producing yoghurt. The milk is produced at Brian and Jackie Clearwater's Peelview farm in South Canterbury. Catherine and Ard Sintony take care of turning that into yoghurt.
The farm was called Peelview, and it was just a question of somehow making the view pay in terms of needing to add value to our milk. In 1999 we bought the place after shear milking for 6 years, and we leased a property for a year. So, and in addition to that, we were 2 years in the dairy industry before we went shear milking. So it was a pretty sort of steep learning curve with that limited amount of experience going shear milking, but the opportunities were there, so we're very, very lucky. We run about 250 cows now, and it was only just recently that our accountant compared our results with our colleagues within his practice in mid-Canterbury in Ashburton. And per cow and per hectare, we were top of the class. We didn't want to go to 1,000 cows. We just wanted 300 acres and 300 cows, and we thought we could make a living. We didn't buy the place with a definitive purpose of farming organically. We recognised pretty early on that there was a margin in the yoghurt section of the food industry. It was just a question of how we got involved in that. The first year we were here, I took a trip around the North Island to visit a small number of independent milk processors, and having got involved since then, that understanding of the industry has been helpful for the business partners that we have in the yoghurt business. So we have a joint venture with Art and Kathy. They own half of the business, that's Clearwater's Organic Dairy, and to kind of make things a little more transparent, we created a marketing company for the distribution and promotion of the yoghurt. So we also own half of that company.
We get the fresh milk from the cows, so Brian and Jackie, they start the milking in the morning. They plug in the pipe that goes into the factory, so the fresh milk comes straight into the factory and it goes into the tank over here. Once when it's in this vat, we heat the milk up to 90 degrees, so that takes a couple of hours, so there's about 800 or 900 litres in this vat. It gets heated up, and that's effectively the whole process. Once when it's 90 degrees, we cool it down to the right temperature for incubation, and then we put in the culture, and as soon as the culture is in, we start packing the milk into the packaging here. As soon as the product is packed into the pots, we put it in our incubator, which is a hot room, and we keep it in there for 9 hours. So that changes the milk into yogurt. So after 9 hours, it's set as a gel in the pot. It's still warm, but it is yogurt. And then all we need to do is cool it down. So we put a blast chiller on, and then the next morning, the product is ready to sell, really. So it's a very sort of quick way of turning milk into money. Normally what happens is in more sort of the commercial scale yogurts that you see in the market, the milk first it's transported to a factory, so it's taken away from the farm, then it's separated, and then it's recombined, standardized, homogenized. It's often got milk powder added to it, so it becomes a whole, there's a lot of processes in between that we simply don't do. Part of the food safety plan, and the thing we have to prove is that the milk has been sufficiently pasteurized. So we need to provide evidence that it has done so. So we record the temperature of the milk and of the headspace temperature in the pasteurizer. We keep these charts as evidence that we've done so. It's probably the most simplest way of making yogurt. It goes right back to how it was made, hundreds of years ago. So that is actually, in a way, it's the easy bit. The hard bit is actually getting it into people's mouths and getting people to understand what it's all about. And so what we had to do a lot of work on is developing the brand. And as you can see, we've hand drawn a picture on our pot, which is trying to reflect the naturalness and the wholesomeness of our product. And it took quite a while to figure that out. What is it that people get? Because we don't have a big marketing budget or anything like that. We rely on people understanding what the brand is about.
We just need to have continuity of supply for keeping yoghurt on shop shelves, and it's that simple. The farm doesn't really lend itself to winter milk, but so far so good. We had quite a good financial year about 5 years ago, and we took the liberty of DNA testing all our cows, and we use A2 semen, so that we had 30% of our cows A2 then, and we must be about 80% now. So we want to be 100% as fast as we can. At the moment, the yoghurt takes about 10% of our milk, and because we're running more cows and doing more production, it's kind of staying at around that 10% figure. But we can go to 20%, and Fonterra's comfortable with that. But we do want to retain our relationship with Fonterra. We're not busting our neck to move away from them. They've given us a lot of security over the years, and it just spreads the risk. We've tried to keep the operation as simple and as streamlined as we can. The opportunity to turn our surplus milk into cheese is something that we are investigating, and it's compatible with our distribution network and the brand that we've established. So there will be opportunities for cheese, and we have other prospects as well that we're looking into.
This program was made with funding from New Zealand On Air.